Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where we are ready to launch our second monstrosity here, Monstrosity 2, and we want to just lift this thing off, and we're going to do exactly that. So let's just head off here. We already got the problems shaken out in the last episode, so that should be absolutely fine. I want to just put this on up. There we go. We just want to go straight up for right now. And I've already checked the fuel flow to make sure that that is working correctly after the changes that we did at the very end of last episode, and it is. So this should work absolutely fine to take us out to Moho, and hopefully also back. That would be wonderful. Frame rate, of course, isn't great as we lift this off, but, I mean, this is on KSP2. It is currently using 10% of my CPU and 17% of my GPU. This is a software issue. Nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. It's just some sort of optimization that needs to be done with the actual game. But for now, this is absolutely fine. The monstrosity is lifting off here, and we are progressing reasonably quickly at this point. We're moving at about 70 meters per second. I mean, that's not fast. Our thrust to weight was never great in this thing, right? No doubt about that. Our thrust to weight was never phenomenal. But we can just leave it like this, and we could even do the physics warp through this SRB portion. The frame rate is going to get absolutely abysmal if we do that. But, oh man, this is a slideshow. Yeah, this is an absolute slideshow. I don't know that this is actually worthwhile. I mean, it's still kind of a slideshow when we're on 1X. But it definitely runs a lot better. No doubt about that. And if we start to lose attitude, it'll control a lot better too. So there is that. We should probably just hold it here and just get through this SRB burn. So that seems fine for right now. Now, I did run a test flight of this before recording this episode, and I did attempt basically the same ascent profile as the last episode, the testing run that we did, and I did actually end up losing an engine on detachment. So I'm just going to take this straight up, and we're going to see if we lose an engine on detachment going straight up. We shouldn't. This should be relatively safe to have this clear out. But it does definitely tip inward and create a bit of a Korolev cross. Well, not really a cross with this many boosters, but you know what I mean. Like a Korolev star, I guess, with a lot of points. That's absolutely a thing that happens. So that's understood, and we might end up losing an engine or two from the detachment. That wouldn't be good. We would not want to lose engines on the detachment. But as you can see here, all of our engines are drawing fuel evenly, except the center engine, which of course is drawing exclusively from these outer tanks. So that is exactly working the way we want it to. We do have a bit of a rotational oscillation here, which I would like to fix more at this angle. So we could certainly do something about that. It's closer. It is definitely closer. We've still got about 38 tons of fuel per solid fuel booster here, and I mean, getting rid of that will increase our thrust to weight significantly. No doubt about that. We've burned through a lot of fuel already. And our apoapsis is only 25 kilometers. This thing's very heavy. We knew this. But let's just work on getting it up into orbit. What kind of an orbit are we targeting here? Is a question we could ask. We could target a fairly low orbit, or we could target a higher orbit. It doesn't really matter either way, I don't think. I think it's kind of fine. We could target like 150 and that would be okay. Our SRBs are going to be burnt out fairly soon. We've got about 20 minutes left on them here. 20 minutes? 20 tons of fuel left. It'll be a lot less than 20 minutes, I can tell you that. We've now got about 17 tons. So that is definitely trickling on downward, and we're just going to take this guy straight on up. We've definitely fixed our oscillation a little bit. Let's bring this over. About like that. Cool. That looks decent. and about 8 tons of solid fuel left in these boosters. So we're currently at about 24 kilometers in altitude, with our apoapsis just starting to reach space as of now. So that's good. We've only got 3 tons of solid fuel boosters left, so we're definitely carried up to space. And then let's detach our SRBs now. Let's see how this goes. Was that a clean detach? That was a clean detach. Beautiful. Let's move this over into prograde and move into this direction. I want to bring this guy all the way over to the horizon and start getting horizontal speed at this point. That is quite necessary. So let's continue to bypass the prograde marker. I just wanted to start moving in this direction. We need to get as much horizontal speed as we can here, and this will be a good way to do it. So I'm just bringing us over to about here. We're going to want to park at the horizon. We have built up a little bit of rotation here. Okay. This thing is not the most easy to turn in the world, especially when we've still got aero forces working on us. You can see here our orbital velocity is going down. That's not surprising. But I just want to burn right at the horizon right now. We need all the horizontal speed we can get. Okay, so we're bringing this on over and looking to park at the horizon about here. Cool. So we're transitioning from... Why are we going back? Don't go back. Don't go up. Don't go up. Just sit at the horizon. You're supposed to be in stability control. Okay. Just sit here. This is fine. Just sit. I'm going to reset the SAS. Okay, just sit at the horizon. There we go. We can see orbital velocity is going up at the horizon here. That's a good sign. And we've still got 24 tons of burn to do. Now, we are almost into vacuum, so that is absolutely noted. And we've got a lot of burn time in these side tanks still. So that's looking very, very solid. And you can see here we've got about 12,000 meters per second in this. Yeah, we've got a lot of delta V. No doubt about it. This is not even the full amount of delta V. There's actually more. So we're now up to 1,000 meters per second, 1 kilometer per second of orbital speed. And we're just continuing to bring this up. I'm thinking an apoapsis of somewhere around 150 or 200 or something like that. But our apoapsis is not going up very quickly while we're burning horizontally. As we can see, our time to apoapsis is slowly ticking down right now. And that means that we are burning when we need to. And where we need to. So that is excellent. It will start going up fairly soon, though, as our orbital velocity approaches actual orbital velocity. That's a ways away yet. We still need, like, over 1 kilometer per second at this point. So that's absolutely fine. We just want to bring our apoapsis up to, like I said, like 150 or 200 for right now. So we're getting orbital velocity here up to 1,200 meters per second. We still need about 1 kilometer per second, but we've got more than that in this stage. So this stage should get us pretty much into orbit, in theory. Yeah, time to apoapsis is going up right now, so technically we don't need to be burning right now. We're going to be pushing our apoapsis further away. That's actually what we want. We want to be burning in that direction right now. We should probably consider extending our solar panels. So consider that done. Yeah, 1,400 meters per second, almost up to 1,500 meters per second. This is looking pretty good at this point. We're about 2 minutes to apoapsis. I want to continue to burn here for a little bit. We've got about 5 to 600 meters per second in this stage. That's reasonably fine. We're just continuing to bring this up to about 150. This stage is going to detach fairly soon, but that's okay. 1,700 meters per second. And we're at 140 apoapsis. This is pretty much right on the money for where I want it to be. Cool. That's looking solid. So side stages are going to burn out very shortly here. There they go. And let's ditch them. Whoa! Well, that didn't go well. Okay, so our side stages collided with our center stage there. So that's definitely intriguing. I expected a little more power out of these TT-38Xs to propel them away from our tank. We weren't changing where we were burning there. That should have pushed them away from our center tank while our center tank pushed us out of the middle. Interesting. I wonder if that was caused by an oscillation. Now, we could recover this. That is definitely a thing that we could do. But at this point, we're not going to make it to Moho and back. I can tell you that. So we're going to have to revert this back, and we're going to have to do this again and get it into orbit. To be honest, I don't think that there are any vehicle designs that need to be changed. I think we just had a little bit of an oscillation there, and I think we're fine. So I'm going to revert this back to launch. I'm going to cut out another launch here. I don't want you to have to sit through that again, but I'm going to do it basically exactly the same way. And we'll come back and we'll see if that repeats itself. So I'll see you guys in just a moment. Okay, so here we are back to about where we were. As you can see, I've got it paused right now. And the question is, are we going to be able to detach this cleanly? We'll find out. I have made a couple of alterations, by the way. I moved out some of the SRBs. I had some difficulty getting this back in with clean detachments with the SRBs, so I moved some of them out. I adjusted the force, and the detachment this time was still definitely imperfect, but it didn't destroy anything internally here. So that is definitely noted. And let's just cruise through the rest of this fuel here, just looking to bring ourselves too close to that 1,500, or rather 150 kilometer marker. Okay, so you can see that shut off, and we had a bit of a drift there. So I'm letting ourselves settle in a bit. Now I'm doing the detachment. Holding my breath. Okay, so I didn't make any major changes to this staging. So I believe that it is indeed due to an oscillation. That's fine. We can work with that. To be honest, we probably don't need to launch this again. So that is reasonably fine. Let's bring this over to the horizon here. And we just want to start heading over towards Moho, right? So that'll be fine. We've got a fair amount of Delta V here. This is going to be enough to get us into orbit for sure. And I'm just wanting to push up our apoapsis here and get as much horizontal speed as we can up until about 150 kilometers. And that will be absolutely fine. So we're at a decent altitude right now and just continuing to push through. This is our interplanetary transfer stage here. I'm not sure if it's strong enough to be an interplanetary transfer stage. We'll see how that ends up going, but we're going to be operating off of this for a little bit anyway. That'll propel us at least a ways out of the Kerbal system. Well, part way towards that. So that'll be fine. We're going to put this at 150 kilometers, so engine shut down now. And now, of course, we want to go over to this apoapsis, which is a couple of minutes away, and we want to get ourselves into a proper orbit. Okay, so something along the lines of this should be reasonably fine. Yeah, this is good enough. So it's going to be 372 meters per second. We'll align for that. That looks solid. And yeah, I really think that the reason we lost this stage previously was due to a lack of stabilization. I think we had an oscillation occurring because I ejected it basically the moment it shut off. And I noticed this time when the engines shut off, there's a little bit of a jerk that the craft undergoes. And so I gave it a little bit extra time to settle, and that seems to have solved the problem. So that is fantastic. Now, what is this up here? That is a Science Junior. Okay, so we do have most of our scientific equipment. I don't think we quite have all of it, but we don't really need it, to be honest. So this is fine. We're slowly angling our way over towards this point, incredibly slowly. We are about 2 minutes away from this, and we're having a really hard time turning this. This is not surprising at this point. We have very little for reaction wheel on here. We've got the reaction wheel in our tuna can, and I think that's it. Just this one reaction wheel here. So this is going to be a very slow turn. That is absolutely understood. We've got about 2 minutes until this warp. Unfortunately, we can't physics warp turns in this game from what I can tell. If we start to go even to 4x time warp, it will stop attempting to turn, which is not ideal, and I don't think we can manually do it either. Let's test that quick. Taking it up to 2x. It's hard to tell. Taking it back down, it was still trying to do the steering, for sure, but it's hard to tell if it was actually making any progress. Regardless, we're just going to hold attitude here for right now. Well, not hold attitude. We are trying to head over, and it will take a little bit of time to get there. We've got about 1.5 minutes until this burn, and that's okay. We are going to be burning off a fair amount of the fuel here, and that is going to save us, you know, another, like, 200 tons. So there's definitely that. What is the weight of this lander, actually? Is this lander achieving that 200-ton marker for Minmus? I'm not sure if it is. Our base definitely should. In theory, anyway. Like, just this amount of fuel is equivalent to over 200 tons of mass. So that is fine. We're definitely having a really hard time turning here, to the point where I'm thinking that we're just going to have to use gimbaling for that. Actually, it's not even really trying to turn, is it? It's not. Why wasn't it trying to turn there? We can manually turn it, but it's off of the marker. I'm not sure why it wasn't trying to turn. Interesting. Regardless, we'll be able to turn much more effectively with the engine gimbaling once we get there. So we're only about 50 seconds away. Let's warp forward a little ways here. 40 seconds, 30, 20, 10, and 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. That is not 1 second per second, but okay. So we're just going to make our way on over here. Yeah, we were a little off, but we're able to use engine gimbaling to get ourselves turned reasonably. That seems fine. And these engines here, these are the tubas. Yeah, that should be absolutely fine. So 4250 kilonewtons, and I'm not sure what the kilonewtons are on this one, but it should be, we did check to make sure that this would fly over Moho. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure we checked that. We've got about 50 seconds left in this burn, and we can warp through that as well. So 10x warp, 40 seconds, 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds, and we're now officially in orbit, so that's good. And yeah, this stage will propel us a little ways out of the Kerbin, or, well, into the Kerbin escape burn. So that looks good. Okay, engine shutdown. This is good enough. We'll get rid of this burn timer, and let's immediately think about escaping here. So we want to go towards the sun, right? So we want to burn over on this side over here approximately, and this is going to be a prograde burn. And we want to escape here. So we want to bring this down a fair amount. To like here or so. Something like that. And then a circularization over here would be okay. This is 2,000 meters per second just to get here. That's a lot. I'm wondering if we can avoid the circularization burn through timing. We probably can find a more efficient path to do this. I mean, slingshotting would definitely be a useful thing, but let's see what this might end up looking like. So I want to set Moho as our target. We can see we are 7 degrees off. Okay, that changes things. 7 degrees off changes things a lot. So what I want to do then is I want to hop in here. And I want to not have anywhere near this level of burn. So I want to grab the prograde marker here. No, other way. Retrograde marker. And I want to bring this out, and I want to circularize this around here or so. Okay, that would do, and that would allow us to do this with just 1305 meters per second. So that's reasonably fine. We'll align to that burn, which of course is going to be a very, very slow process indeed. And getting to Moho is going to be a whole thing. This is going to be a very high DV maneuver, no doubt about it. I'm even wondering if we have enough here. I know we have 9615. It'll be exciting, no doubt about it. It's actually higher than this number. This number does not take into account a fair amount of fuel. So that's reasonably fine for right now. We are aligning for this burn. That'll be in about 23 minutes. It's going to be a 17-minute burn. I mean, that makes sense. This is going to be very low thrust to weight over here. The first section of it is going to be reasonably high thrust to weight. That second section, though, that's going to be fairly lengthy. No doubt about it. Well, let's align for this burn, and let's warp on forward a little bit. We're kind of aligned right now. Okay, so we've got about 40 seconds here to continue to align, and gimbaling will get us a significant amount of the rest of the way. And then this burn, or rather this tank here, is going to be mostly burnt out by the time we get through this. So this isn't really going to be our interplanetary transfer stage. We're going to have to rely on some of this fuel here, which is going to be exciting. No doubt about that. I'm a little concerned right now, to be honest. I'm a little concerned about fuel count. Well, we'll see. We've got about 20 seconds until this burn. We can continue to orient, and we're very slowly orienting our way over. So it'll be about 1,000 meters per second. Yeah, we'll just barely get through it with this tank. Okay. 10 more seconds until this burn. So 9, 8, 7. This is, of course, a very heavy payload, right? This is an incredibly heavy payload. So that's not necessarily surprising. 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay. So our first stage is still being utilized at this time, and we're able to start pushing ourselves off towards Moho. But this is going to be a very, very long burn indeed. So let's warp through this. At least 10x for this stage. And then we're going to have to do a stage separation shortly. Okay. Approaching partially out of fuel orbital event. Yes. So it automatically brought us out, and that caused me to pause it because I was bringing us out too. But that's okay. We've got about 50 meters per second left here. And we did manage to get a few hundred meters per second done there, so that's good. Okay, about 10 meters per second left. And off we go on a very low thrust to weight engine indeed. Okay. Yeah, our Delta V here is going to take a while to burn through. This is going to be a big one. So let's put this at like 50x. Yeah, we're going to lose a lot of efficiency here, because this is such a long burn. To be honest, we probably want to stop this burn at this point and do this on another pass. So we'll come in and do another pass here. We're losing a lot of efficiency here, and I definitely don't want that. So we're just going to push this out, and we're looking to roughly circularize here. I mean, that's probably not circularized, but it's rough. Okay, so something like that, 251 meters per second. This is now only going to be a 5-minute burn. That is definitely much better. And we're going to need to, of course, warp around here. So we got a lot of altitude out of that last burn, but we need to get more. No doubt about that. So this means that our interplanetary transfer stage here is going to be able to be utilized primarily for our inclination change, but we're going to have to burn a lot of this fuel as our interplanetary transfer stage, and I don't love that. That is certainly not ideal, but escaping Kerbal is going to be the big event here. That's what we need more than anything. So let's warp forward a little bit further since we are right on the marker. We can see we've still got 8,862 meters per second here, and there's actually more than that. So that seems reasonably fine for now. We've got about 30 more seconds. Let's warp further. 20, 10, and 2, 1, mark. Okay, so now this is going to be about a 5-minute burn here. And this is going to be a lot more efficient. Now, we're still going to be drifting off here. No doubt about that. But let's just bring this on through. So we're at about a 50x warp now. Okay. 40 seconds. And let's bring this back down to about a 10x warp. 10 seconds. Cool. Checking in on our velocity here. Yeah, our trajectory looks good. 2, 1, mark. Okay, so something along the lines of that. So now, of course, what we need to do is we need to have Moho be our target, and we need to... I think we have to exit the sphere of influence of Kerbal at this point. So we're just going to warp up to here. Goodbye, Kerbal. We are out of here. Okay, we need to warp a little further than that. Goodbye, Kerbal. We are out of here. So we're out of the Kerbal sphere of influence now. We've got 516 meters per second left. At this descending node, we can create a maneuver plan, and we need to change our inclination by 7 degrees. That's pretty hefty. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty hefty indeed. I'm wondering if we can maybe ignore that and do our inclination change over Moho. That is a possibility. It is time to put a cut in here, but I want to run a quick check here. So if we were to do just something like this, that's actually kind of close. It's still a lot of DV, and we'll be very fast once we get there. I want to be clear about that. We'll be very, very fast. And inclination is going to be a bit of a problem as far as our timing goes. That's for sure as well. Oh, hang on. That was the wrong direction. Well, we'll fiddle with this next episode and see if we can find ourselves a reasonably efficient path over to Moho. We don't have all that much fuel in the big scheme of things, but this has a huge amount in it. So in theory, we should be relatively okay. We're just not going to have quite the margin that I usually like to have. However, I'm going to put that cut in here. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Atala, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, Kintogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.